Oh, didn't see you there. What am I doing? Oh, nothing too interesting. Just loading up some Lego Batman 2. Hear that? That is an ancient sound from an ancient game on an ancient device. Almost as ancient as your mother. I'm kidding. Sure, your mother's lovely. Do you know what isn't lovely? Bloody weather today. It's miserable and wet. Which also kind of sounds like your mother. I want to clarify that this video right here is filmed on a different day to the previous video. I most certainly have not walked 2 yards to my wardrobe to change my shirt, messed with the lighting a little bit just to make it look like a different day. You and I were at one point epic video gamers. Maybe you still are. Maybe I still am. Staying up till 3 AM with the boys, with the gang, getting friggin' dubs, saying very incriminating things whilst we're getting those dubs. Eventually we got hooked onto self-improvement, began setting goals for our future. We see a few videos hating on video games, a few supporting video games. Shit's confusing. Can I be alpha and epic gamer simultaneously? That's the question I'm trying to ask and answer. It's a very polarizing subject, and in this video we're going to look at both angles, yes and no. I'm going to talk about the different arguments, and I'm going to get points to each side, and it'll be on the screen the entire time just in case you lose track. Now I think we can all agree that wasting your life on video games is bad, meaning if you play more than maybe 2 hours a day then you're probably wasting your potential. How about just 1 hour at the end of a productive day to unwind? Unwind wouldn't be the right reason, or would, for 1 hour at the end of the day. With every single video game, your brain is going to get a dopamine response. Along with this, every single video game is going to take some form of skill and critical thinking, even if it's a relaxed sort of interactive story game like Life is Strange or anime roleplay sim. That word wasn't in the script. I just edited it out. Unwinding or even relaxing won't come with playing video games. You could certainly de-stress and escape whilst playing video games. I think that's probably the more realistic reason why people tend to fight for them. If I were to give a point to one side of the argument, I'd probably have to go with no. If your sole reason is to unwind or relax at the end of the day, that's not going to happen. However, if your sole reason is to de-stress or escape, that definitely will happen. The issue is, I like to think that you're someone who has very big ambitions. You know, you want to get pretty freaking far in life. The escape that you'll successfully get from immersing yourself in a video game won't be worth how much it'll disrupt aspects like focus and general presence when it comes to working and improving and reaching your full potential. Unless you're in a very deep situation in your life, maybe you're still only 14 or 15 and not capable of getting through a really deep family issue without some sort of escape. I think that's very justifiable, but using video games as an escape outside of a very severe scenario like that, it's unfortunately just going to be a cope. Now the next point is very interesting to me. As humans, our brains work in complicated ways. I won't turn this into a Dr. Huberman podcast, but a huge part of why we enjoy certain activities, the ones that aren't needed for survival or reproduction, is largely due to our brain's addiction to progression. The human brain loves when we achieve something, and even more so when we just keep getting better at one thing. It rewards us with dopamine and a bunch of other happy hormones that make leveling up so addictive. It's a bit like our brain thinking, if we're really good at this thing and we're beating the competition in this specific thing, and we just keep getting better at this specific thing, then we're going to survive longer in this specific thing or this specific area, which is the motivation for almost everything, which is literally just survival. The issue here is that the brain doesn't know the difference between IRL progression and virtual progression. Part of the many reasons why video games become addictive is literally due to that illusion of progression that they give us when we level up. In fact, part of the reason why more men are addicted to video games than women is because men not only have the urge to feel a sense of progress, but we also have the primal masculine urge to outcompete and win other men. When a man can't compete and win in the real world through sports and good grades and work, of course he's more likely to become addicted to video games, because that's the only thing that can tickle that urge in his brain to progress and to be good at something. That's why we have more fun playing games that we're better at and that we can win others at. Pair that psychological urge for progress with the other psychological illusions and disadvantages that we'll talk about later, and you've got yourself the full reason for why video games are one of the most addictive activities on the entire planet. The fulfillment you'll get from progressing in the virtual world as opposed to the real world will indefinitely weaken your desires to progress in your business, in your studies, in your working out, or any of your goals in real life. That sounds like a point for no. A very good advantage of video games is just how many skills can be strengthened while playing. With almost every different video game, multiple different skills will be challenged and ultimately improved, which is fantastic. Along with this, a lot of games do actually have quite a positive message to spread. Some games, emphasis on the some, can grant you with a lot of real life knowledge as well. A good example of this would be something like Minecraft. Obviously to a very simple extent, but Minecraft is a survival game that needs absolutely no introduction. A lot of the recipes for crafting and making in Minecraft are very dumbed down, simplistic ways of how they're actually done in the real world. Like for example, I remember playing Minecraft at the age of like 9, and I learned that the way glass is made is by smelting sand in a furnace. And that's obviously a very simplistic way of how it's done in real life, but you know, still pretty accurate. Something like Until Dawn, where you have to make very quick and rational decisions for your characters because you want to keep them all alive. That of course challenges quick critical thinking. The extent to which this goes is obviously very limited, and I think that you're probably gonna strengthen your skills a lot more through real life experiences. Still something to consider. And now it's 2-1 because that's a point to yes. I'm putting this as a separate point to the progressive illusion that I previously spoke about, because in this point we're going to be talking about addiction wasting potential as opposed to progressive fulfillment weakening your desires to achieve your goals in real life. The starring chemical in the cause of addiction in the human brain is none other than dopamine, which I'm sure you all guessed. There are a lot of different things that spark dopamine in the brain that cause that addictive attachment to a certain thing. The first one being progress, like we already spoke about. Another, however, being novelty. A very good example of novelty would be a little game. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's only like a tiny little indie game known as like Fortnite or something. There's a new season every 3 months or so. A battle pass that you can buy and you have to level up. Loads of rewards like skins. There are new maps every season, I'm pretty sure. This is all new to you as a human, and new things, novelty, is very exciting. If you link the novelty of video games with the illusion of progression, the masculine urge to achieve that progression, the masculine urge to compete with other men and win, you get yourself a pretty big response into it. So big in fact that video games have the ability to give you a 3 times higher dopamine response than sex or nicotine. Deep that for a minute. It can even be higher than Coke, the drink. Of course, this really isn't that surprising when you add up all of the illusions that video games give the brain. With a dopamine response as big as this, it's no wonder so many young men get addicted to video games. You might be watching this and think that your relationship to video games isn't an addiction, but I would say if you play almost every day for more than an hour and a half, 2 hours, I'd say you're definitely addicted. You see, when you get a 300% dopamine increase from something as easily accessible and exciting as video games, the dopamine baseline rises. Over time, this makes everything else less enjoyable. You're less motivated to do anything else because the dopamine reward that you get from everything else just doesn't come as high, just doesn't hit the 300 mark or whatever it is. This is the exact same pattern in drugs. So for example, when someone is addicted to cocaine, their baseline is whatever the baseline is for cocaine. Their baseline is so high, anything that isn't cocaine just can't stimulate them as much. And that's addiction. This causes depression and is a very serious issue. And the brain is tricked into thinking it's constantly accomplishing. Your brain doesn't think that you really have to do anything else apart from what is giving you that illusion that you're progressing. There's a lot more science that goes into this subject, and I suggest that if you're interested, you go and do your own research. There are way more actual scientists explaining this better than I have, and so I'll leave some links down in the description if you're interested in looking into it. For now though, we're living a life fulfilled by the progress you get from video games, and that being the only thing that can possibly touch that new dopamine baseline. Working on your business, studying for your exam, working out in the gym, real life activities that work towards your goals just aren't as exciting. They won't be as desirable, and they'll be so much easier to skip. This is an obvious point for no. Now that we've established the addiction side of things, let's talk about probably the best thing that can come from video games. Monetization. Money. You love money. I love money. It's alpha to like money. Gaming, for some, can be a purpose. If you're someone that knows, not thinks, knows that gaming is your life purpose, then you can most definitely make gaming a full-time career. Gaming is one of the biggest genres on every single streaming and online video platform, with YouTubers and streamers making millions. I'm sure a lot of you Cope Kings have heard this information and immediately labelled yourself as a purposeful gamer. The truth is, you're probably not. This is where you have to do a lot of research into what purpose is and how to find yours. There are many videos and books out there. I'll even be making a video at some point that may already be up, depending on when you're watching this. Essentially, your happiest possible life is going to be a life where you feel purposeful. When your job or your profession or whatever you do is something that you enjoy, something that brings value, something that you're good at. For most of you, gaming will be nothing but either an addiction or just a passion, something that you enjoy. If this is the case and you're being 100% true to yourself, don't be a gaming YouTuber. If you do, however, think that maybe your current purpose layer is to entertain and to be a gaming influencer, be sensible about it and consider trying to monetize properly whilst still sort of being on self-improvement, still trying to, still making sure you get good sleep and that you're doing all of the good habits. Don't allow it to be an addiction. It would be hard for gaming to be your business without you letting it become an addiction. But like I said, for most of you, it's not going to be your purpose. Point goes to yes on this one. The last 2 points I'm going to put forward make or break your decision. I have made a lot of memories playing video games. I remember for me, in high school, I was really into Fortnite. I still remember some of the great memories that I made playing that game with my friend. Video games can become very wholesome and positive, allowing you to create bonds and make a lot of memories that will become nostalgic and that you can look back on. With that being said, the only good memories I have from gaming have been with friends that I know in real life and that I actually hung around with in real life. So there was that sort of balance of having like an online gaming relationship, but then I also knew them in school. This balance made it so that they weren't just online friends. I have of course made higher quality memories through real life, but still very positive. And I think Yes United is going to equalise in the 18th minute. What? Oh my god, they equalised. Unless you're looking into the esports gaming YouTuber space, most successful businessmen, the same kind of men that you would label as high tier, alpha males like yourself and I, these type of men typically don't have a place for video games in their life. I think you can maybe think of a few examples of a few high tier men that do play right now. One thing that's 100% certain is that they weren't playing whilst they were grinding to become so successful. To become an alpha male, Chad, you likely won't have time for video games. And no Chester City scores in the 90th minute. That being said, it all comes down to where your priorities lie. If you're somebody who doesn't want to reach the stars, you just want to live an average life, making a good bit of money, and you don't want to sacrifice the video game aspect of your life, you still want to enjoy it, then do that. However, if you, like me, are incredibly ambitious, if your goals are extraordinarily high and you want to be like top friggin' 0.1% man, you know what they say, like the friggin' high value mansion, then sacrifice them. At least for the next 2 or 3 years whilst you sort of build yourself up from scratch. I personally only gave up video games after planning and researching this video. I noticed a very prominent pattern of the type of men that I want to be like, not having video games at all in their life. For the foreseeable future, whilst I'm building up my business and chasing my goals, video games won't have a place in my life. I suggest journaling about this and figuring out where you want to be. To put it simply, the more video games, the slower and lesser progress you'll make, and vice versa. I hope this video helped. Like, comment, subscribe, and do all of the algorithm things. Tune in tomorrow to see shocking Fortnite Chapter 8 leaks. Spoiler alert, your nan's in the game in a little wheelchair like this. Bless her. Like that.